Hi, ladies. I'm Tristine Fleming. I am hoping to get this co-op started by the beginning of next year after the new year of 2018. I really would like to get it started in January. We need some things to think about and to talk about in our live chat tomorrow. Nobody's really responded as to how they want to chat. If you want to do Facebook Live or if you want to do Google, do you want to do Skype? Whatever works, we need to figure that out so that we can have our conversation. I really need you to be participating and active in this because that's part of what a co-op is. A co-op is, you are actively involved. So we need to make sure that we are constantly in communication with one another at this point. And I'm not saying like every second of the day. I'm saying that when someone's asking something on the forum, that we are responding and we are communicating and even acknowledging the fact that somebody has asked something. So before we get started, what I want to do is I want us to think about some things before we meet tomorrow. I want us to think about the structure of our co-op, what we want it to look like. What are our goals for this co-op, besides, of course, getting together and having our kids socialize and learning together? As I said before, I love peer learning, so I am looking for any ages between 6 and 12, and it can always be tweaked. We know that from various programs that use one curriculum for numerous ages. So that's not a problem, and we should be able to tweak that for the other children who are older versus those who are younger. And we can use those older students to actually help the younger students. However, many of you have looked into classical conversation, as have I. And I talked to a very good friend of mine the other day, and talked to her about classical conversation and kind of what it looks like, just to kind of get a feel of what they're doing. They're doing like memorization, so they're using songs and music for memorization. And as you know, classical conversation is incredibly expensive. We want this to be very affordable. However, if you're teaching a class that's going to require a lot of materials, one, I think that we should each be responsible for that material. So let's say you want to use a special curriculum. I'm not looking at a $150 curriculum. I want something that can be used that we can get from maybe the library, or we can get free online, or something that is very inexpensive, because the purpose of this was for it to be free or really, really inexpensive. The other thing too is that we want learning to be fun. So we need to think outside of the box of whatever topic we're going to be teaching, that it will be fun, that it will be hands-on. And when I say hands-on, that means that the child's going to be actively learning in your lessons. There could be a small lesson beforehand, and then they do an interactive lesson with it. However, that's where you, as the parent, comes in. You need to be there to help your child, to guide your child with the lesson. So it's not fully on that one mom teaching a lesson up there, trying to get a hold of a variety of ages of kids. And she's like, where's all the moms? And they're out gossiping, having coffee. And I'm only saying that because that's something that I have experienced before. So we are basically assistants in the classroom. We need to be the assistants when another mom is there. We also need to be very responsible for our children's behavior. That's a huge part that I want us to make sure that we're doing as moms. So what I need to ask is, what are your strengths? What are your goals? What do you want to teach? What do you find to be fun? Do we want these co-ops to be once a week or twice a week? There are some co-ops that get together twice a week. Now, if we got together twice a week, my idea for that was that we would do our core subjects: math, reading, writing, history, science, those types of topics, those would be done on one day. And that would be almost like a 5-6 hour day, really. And then we would have lunch together. I feel it's important that we would have lunch together. So if there's somebody who says, I don't really feel comfortable teaching, then you would be responsible for lunches. And that could be kind of expensive, but that's basically you saying, I don't want to teach and I'm just going to hand this over to you. You're not going to be paying for classes, but you will be participating and you won't be actively involved by teaching. So somehow you need to participate somehow by bringing lunches. Now, if we're all going to teach, then we can alternate by taking turns of who's going to bring lunch. And it's not like a big elaborate lunch. It could be just snack sandwiches or snacks and juices, but it has to be something sustaining because they are going to be in there for quite some time. Snacks, bring your own. We will have a snack time and a lunch. That is my purpose for a one-day co-op. Now, we could also do a half-a-day co-op, which would be 3 or 4 enrichment type classes. These are the classes that are really fun. Those could be anything you want it to be. If you are familiar with enrichment classes, it could be story time, educational but fun. It could be mystery of history, it could be story of the world, it could be music, it could be teaching the children a musical instrument or teaching them about opera or ballet or something like that. So we think outside the box with enrichment because it's an enrichment type program to enhance their learning experience of the fine arts. And we could even do like a fitness class. That would be really fun. Some of us are already involved in a fitness program at the YMCA. But, think outside the box. Maybe a yoga class or a Pilates and mom and Pilates class. What do I have on my shoulder? A rip. Anyway, so do we want to do that? What classes do you feel comfortable teaching? What do you expect the classes to look like? What are your goals for this co-op? What do you want your child to achieve out of this co-op? What do you want to achieve out of this co-op? The other thing is I don't know if many of you are Christian homeschoolers or if you are secular homeschoolers. If we are all Christians, then maybe we could do something Christian based. If we are secular and Christian, then we keep it neutral. And that's okay. I have no problem with that whatsoever. It's just a matter of finding out where we all are in our faith or in our walk and what we're doing, what we're teaching. So let's talk a little bit about what we are teaching now. How are we teaching at home? And why will this be different for you? Also, we need to think of some fun things. If there's some real small ones, there could be a possibility where one of us would be responsible for the other's child so that we could go do something fun with the little ones during an hour or so during one class. And that way somebody's always kind of having fun with the children. I'm thinking of the library in town at the south side because they have a room that kind of connects, so we could separate the rooms and we could actually use both of them, use the divider for the small ones on one side and then the classes on the other side. That's kind of how I'm thinking. I'm not, if anybody else has any other suggestions of where we could go, that would be great too. That's kind of why I'm here, to pick your brain. What are you thinking? Where do you think you'd want to do it? Do you want to do it at somebody's home? Do you want to do it at each other's house? Do you want to go to the library? Do you have another place that you think that would be a better place for all of us to do that? Think about supplies for your stuff, but that's going to come later. That is all going to come later when we all come to decide what we're going to teach, how we're going to teach it. Are we going to charge a price for our class? We do not want anything to exceed $100. And I mean total. Like if we're going to do 5 or 6 classes and you think, well, I've got to get these supplies, that's okay. It can come out of your pocket too if you want, because if I'm going to be doing something and you're going to be doing something, it's all going to balance out in the end how much you pay versus how much I may pay for all my supplies. So that's another question that we should consider. We also need to think of dates and times and how long we want this to go. Do we just want it for the semester as a trial? We can try this out as a trial basis this January through April, see how it goes. And if it works really well, we can do a summer program. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know, but that's another option. A summer program where we do nature studies and we get together and we go camping together and things of that nature. Question, I'm not saying that's what we do. I'm saying, is that something we can consider? Then we move on to the next year. Is this something that we're going to pursue for the next year and the year after that and the year after that? Because that's basically what classical conversation is that you keep moving along together, and it's every year. You don't just go one year and then like, I'm done. It is a, school commitment throughout their schooling. And so I'm not looking for something that's short term, like I'm just doing a class for, 4 months. I'm looking for something long term, something that's going to grow, something that's going to really enhance our children's learning experience, but also ours and our experiences together as homeschooling moms. And I would also like to consider us as moms getting together at least once a month, not only to talk about what we're going to be learning and how we're going to be incorporating those things, because I think we should be sharing those things together before we get into a classroom, but I also think getting together outside of that format and really getting to know each other as friends and building a connection and a community together, because if we're not getting along, then schooling our children together is going to be incredibly difficult. So I think it's important that we as a community get along and like each other and have time together and bless one another, have meals together, talk together, not just about what we're doing, but about each other in our lives. And that doesn't mean that we have to get graphic and get crazy with what we're sharing. But it's basically saying we're friends and we're connected this way, and this is how we're going to go forward. And if there are issues that we run into that we need to, I would like to do it as the biblical approach does, that we confront that person very nicely, and then we decide can it be resolved that way, and if not, then we have to talk about it as a group. And if the group can't figure out how to resolve that issue, then one person or the other is going to have to leave the group, which is unfortunate. I don't want to see that happen. I really don't. So my goal always is that if I have an issue with you and you've done something to hurt me or my family, I will talk to you about it. I will come to you directly. I'm not confrontational, but I will confront a problem. I will not let it just hide in the wayside. I will not just let it, you know, fester inside of me and I'm just giving you an attitude every time I see you. I will not tolerate that in our classrooms or in our community of this co-op. I won't. We are going to be loving and kind, and we're going to teach our children how to do that. And we're going to teach our children how to deal with those types of situations by being the example. And by being the example, we're also going to show them that as we come together as friends and as a community, not just with our family, but also with each other. And the other thing I'm thinking of is if we can get dads involved. Maybe if we could do, the enrichment classes. Like I would love having to do woodworking shops or building shops or things outside of the normal things like life building skills. That Tavin wants to be a builder. Was one of your husbands a builder that could possibly help us with that? So we need to think of what our husbands can bring to the table too. This needs to be a family thing. It can't just be about moms doing everything, because we do a lot. I'd like to see this be a family commitment where the family is involved, whether it be the father or the mother. But at one point, we all get together as a family and unite, whether that be a once a month or every other month, where we all get together, bring a potluck, and that's our families, our husbands, our other children, and whatnot, and we get together and we have a great gathering of love and support and friendship and community. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. Now, if you have other questions about this co-op, feel free to write them down and be ready for them tomorrow so that we can all think about it. You know, you can write it down, you can send a message, you can do what I'm doing. I'm better at this because I have neuropathy and it's hard for me to type. So it's easy for me to do video messages like this. So just be prepared that sometimes I will just be sending out video messages just because it's easier for me than typing a big long drawn out, here's what we do, here's what I'm expecting. Of course, we do want that on paper eventually because we want that as a mission statement. We really do want to make this legit. I don't want this to be something that's just a fly by night kind of thing. If this goes well over the next few months, then who knows what this could grow into. This could grow into a true local co-op community that this local area is truly lacking. And so many of you I have talked to say, I just can't connect. I know that feeling, and that's why I want to do this. I want us to connect. I want us to have a place to go together to support one another in this journey, because it is a tough journey. If you have it easy, then God bless you, and please tell us what you're doing right. Because I know that our journey is tough. It's ever changing. It's ever evolving. It is trial and error all the time. And this process over the next few months is going to be that too. So we need to expect that this is trial and error, that this may not work right away. It may feel a little uncomfortable, but then we got to get through the bumps and we got to figure out how we're going to fix that and how we're going to resolve it and how we're going to make it better. So we need to think of all those things. If I've left out anything, just go ahead, feel free to ask it in the questions in our chat. Other than that, I think I've just about covered everything, and just give some thought as to what you want to be teaching. I already know that I would like to be doing fine arts. I tried to develop a history through arts program, but I also did a Today We Celebrate program that I really love and I really want to incorporate into homeschooling. And it's basically a month by month, um, you know, what's happening. Like this month is epilepsy awareness month. We could learn about epilepsy. Do you see what I'm saying? And so then there's certain birthdays that we could celebrate of scientists and stuff like that. So it could incorporate a lot, and we could even do an entire co-op based on that, because there are certain scientists or science technologies that have been invented that happened in a certain month that, maybe you could kind of, who's ever in science would be doing, and mathematicians, that we could be exploring that maybe their birthday was this month. Do you see what I'm saying? That's kind of what I was doing with Today We Celebrate. It encompassed every topic, and we could basically do it on a month to month basis where we say, this month, this is what's happening this month. Like this month is mustache month. So it would be fun if everybody came into class with a mustache and, wore it for like 15 minutes or so. But you would discuss all the cool things that are going on during the month. Again, that's just something that I would like to incorporate because I think it's fun and I think it has a real great potential for a fantastic curriculum, full blown curriculum. And it gives you unit studies. You're not just flying by the seat of your pants. You've got something to guide you every month. You have a unit study that you're focusing on for a particular month. And I can show you that in our conversation if you're interested in something like that, because it is a lot of fun. And somebody else is already doing it, but it's not as good as what I can put together. And it's something that she's selling on Curricliclick. And I did buy it just to see what it was like. And she's kind of incorporating my ideas, but and incorporating it for littles all the way to older. So there is an opportunity to do that. If you're not sure what that means, we'll talk about that later too. Okay, I need to go because we have a pizza date with a family and some kids. So we're gonna go. I know this is like 20 minutes long, but I'm gonna end it, and I hope it answers questions and gets our, imagination going, and we can figure out where we want to go with this co-op. What we even want to call it? What do we even want to call it? All right, guys, take care. I'll talk to you tomorrow afternoon. Bye.